Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I was originally planning on making this video a little bit later, but I checked the weather for next week, and turns out it's gonna be in between like 10 and 15 degrees next week. So I had to make time to get out here on the bike and make this happen. So today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the Kawasaki Ninja 650 itself. But to begin, I want to say a huge thank you to the people who showed interest in my previous video. This is new to me, and when I posted it and woke up the next morning, and now you're going to laugh at me because this is absolutely nothing compared to most people, but I woke up and there was already like 10 views on it, and I was really excited because, you know, on my channel I've mostly been I post a video for fun and stuff, and most of them have no views. So I was really happy to see the 10 views, and it had a couple likes on it and some comments, and I really appreciate that a lot. In response to the comment that I got, I will be talking a little bit more in depth about this bike, and I will actually get out and walk around and talk about it. I've got a little sheet of paper of information that I'm going to be reading some information off of, and hopefully it'll be as accurate as possible. But before I do that, because today is a busy day for me, I'm going to be heading to the gym first, and then I will bring it back afterwards. I'm going to find a nice place to stop and get out and walk around the bike and talk about it. So I will see you guys shortly.
So I got myself down here at a parking lot that's fairly empty. It gives me a chance to sit down and walk around the bike and talk about it a little bit. So I was asked to share a little bit more information about the bike itself, and I also fixed the angle of my camera, so now it's looking more where I'm looking rather than down at the ground, so that helps a little bit too. So I'm going to just start off with the engine, the displacement. Now it's a Kawasaki Ninja 650. The actual displacement is a 649cc parallel twin motor. Now the way these differ from other sport styled bikes or super sport bikes is that the ones that are more crafted for like track riding or racing, those are typically inline 4-cylinders, so the cylinders actually, you know, lined up inline. This is a parallel twin, looks kind of more like this. The way this differs is that the power band on this motor is more consistent throughout the full rev range. Now mine, I believe, revs up to maybe like 12,000 or so at the most. Rarely ever get it that high. Usually it's like 8,000 at the most, whereas those inline 4-cylinder motors will typically rev to like a 16,000-17,000. Those ones are much louder, much more aggressive, and also, like I said in my previous video, they typically have a second power band. They have like the first, for those inline 4-cylinders, usually their first like 6,000 or 7,000 RPMs is like kind of like having a bike like this. But once you get it past that and you get up into the 10s, 11s, 12,000 RPMs, those things really wake up and they'll throw you clear back. It doesn't matter how fast you're going, they'll push you back into the cushion there on your seat. So this bike doesn't do that. This one is fairly consistent. You have power available to you pretty much at all times, but the power is not as aggressive as the inline 4-cylinder. So it is for beginners, since I am kind of focusing on the whole beginner side of this, this is definitely a much better choice for a style of motor. You don't have to get the Kawasaki Ninja 650, even though I would say it's probably like my favorite or the best for this size of bike and style of bike. But pretty much anything with the parallel twin motor in it. Another example, they replaced the Yamaha R6 with a Yamaha R7. It's also a parallel twin motor, exactly like this one, slightly bigger, a little bit more power, but if you were to sit on the two of them as a beginner, you probably would not even notice a difference between the bikes. They pretty much behave the same. Now, I don't have any personal riding experience on the R7, but I have heard from some friends and everything saying that they feel pretty similar to this, just meatier with more power. Another thing about this bike specifically, it weighs, I think it's 419 pounds. I have a little cheat sheet here that's giving me some of these statistics just to try to make sure that I'm not telling you guys the wrong thing. So it's 419 pounds minus the non-ABS version, so it does not have the anti-lock brake system. So the ABS version, I believe, is 423. It is slightly heavier, but I would imagine most of that extra weight is probably low down, and in terms of handling, you probably wouldn't notice. So I don't have the assistance on the braking on this, but personally, I don't like it because if I don't like to have a computer kind of interfering with like what I'm trying to do, but that's at a point to where I feel like I have more control over what I'm doing with the bike. If for beginners, ABS is probably not a bad idea, because you do have to be careful with the amount of brake you're applying on it, because if you just squeeze your little handle here to hit the brakes, the front brakes here, if you're getting scared or something and you squeeze it, you could throw yourself off the bike. So in a lot of cases, for beginners, ABS is probably a pretty smart addition. Plus, I believe it makes your insurance just a couple dollars cheaper. Not 100% sure, but at least here in Oregon it does. One thing with the weight itself, now this is something I was answering in a comment for people who are just getting into the bikes. If you're not entirely sure whether or not a bike is good for you, most dealerships, if you're showing a genuine interest in the bike, most dealerships will be okay with you throwing your leg over it and seeing how it fits for you. They're not going to let you turn it on. Most of the time in the dealership, they're dry. They don't have oil and they don't have gas in it, so you won't be able to turn it on or anything inside, of course, but they will allow you to step on it. Now, the weight when they're dry is obviously lighter. They're not going to be as heavy when they don't have liquid in them. So, but one thing you can do is sit on the bikes in the dealership, and they'll let you do this. Now, I was telling somebody to test the weight. It's going to be hard for you to see. I don't have a way for you to see this, so let me move my camera real quick. Alright, so I'm trying to look as straight down as possible. I don't know if you can see my legs, but one thing you can do, sit on the bike and then just kind of bounce the weight back and forward between your legs like this. This is a great way to tell if a bike's going to be too big for you or not. Now, be mindful that if you're not expecting the weight to be shifted over to one side, it doesn't matter how heavy or light the bike is, it'll still be heavy, and it's pretty easy to lose control over it. But for the most part, 419 pounds sounds like a lot, but without even using my hands, I could just bounce this thing back and forth between my legs, and it's not really that big of a deal. So let me get off the bike here and go to the next part. Alright, so the next part I want to talk about with this bike specifically is that it has a 4-gallon gas tank, pretty much exactly. Now, they don't have any official ratings that I found on their fuel economy, but when I'm driving around town on the dash, you can set up and show your average miles per gallon. I notice myself getting anywhere between like the high 55 to 58 all the way up to sometimes 68, 70 miles per gallon. It sounds like a lot. That really depends on the style of driving you do. I just like to cruise around, so I don't really rev it up too much, so my average miles per gallon is quite a bit higher. If you guys are constantly accelerating really fast, your mileage will definitely vary. Here in Oregon, we have a basic rider training class that's taken at one of our community colleges here. It is a requirement for us to take that class and pass that class in order to go in and get our permit from the DMV. So it cost us like $150, and it's like a 3-day thing. It's like a Saturday, Sunday, and then like the next Saturday or something like that. Super fun class. Very basic, very straightforward. But definitely, if anybody is interested, I could talk about some of the tricks they taught us to kind of get comfortable with the bike. I'll probably just make it anyways, just because it's fun. But yeah, when I started, I got scared out of taking the class back when I was in high school. I kind of wish I didn't, because now now that I've done it, it's really nothing. It's not that big of a deal, and I love it. It's so much fun. I would love to have the few extra years of experience under my belt, but that's okay. So yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe if I make a video about some of the tips they taught us in the class, because after that class, man, I fell in love with motorcycles. I'm telling you, it's just the fear of the unknown, getting into something new. And you always hear stories about like people falling or getting hurt and things like that, but it's always a possibility. I'm not going to say it's not, but you can kind of avoid a lot of that just by being responsible. Just don't ride it if you've had a drink. Don't drive outside of your comfort zone. Don't try to impress people. Just if you're gonna get a bike, just get a bike to enjoy it. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about before I end this video is actually the dash itself. Now it's pretty straightforward. I was telling you before that it's like probably the only place where they put some extra technology into. It's pretty straightforward. Right now I have it on the dark mode. It's got 2 buttons here. It's just pretty simple operation. If I wanted to lighten it up, I could just press and hold this right one here, and it'll make the background white, make it a little easier to see things. But the main thing I wanted to talk about, if you press the 2 of them together, you can go to the menu and adjust things. There's vehicle settings, display, date and time, and stuff, just the typical stuff, your service. They do have a Bluetooth section here, and that's what I want to talk about. I do have it paired currently right now with my phone. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. Let me okay, let me get this going here. So I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this. I'm trying to create my own shade here to make it easier to see, but with my 650, you can only use a small portion of this, which is basically your trip information, which hasn't updated for me for some reason. I just connected this today. I've been trying to learn how to do this, but it'll tell you simple things like your trip A, trip B, your odometer. Oh, there it goes. So now my odometer's up at the correct 3,157. The total time, and it'll even tell you about your range and your average miles per gallon. Now, at this time, I'm currently averaging 53 since I've started doing these videos. I've been kind of driving around quite a bit more, but still over 50 is not bad. So it's just another neat thing. This is called Rideology. You can apparently record lap timing. Now, there was a little information panel when I opened this up saying that you can recreate a trip like on some little 3D animation thing on here. See if I can get that to pop up here again. I'm not sure if it's going to. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. Not entirely sure, but if you do have a more advanced version or advanced bike or something, there is also a settings info. You can actually adjust the tuning and the power that you get on your bike, and you can do all that through the app, which is actually really cool. So that's just a neat little thing I've got. You just connect it via Bluetooth. You just go add a new vehicle in this little last menu here. I don't know how well you guys are going to see it, but that's the last thing I wanted to talk about is just the Bluetooth connection. You can get out of this menu, just press and hold the 2 buttons again, and it'll go right back to your dash. So that is the last. Now, I had to I had to move. There was a guy making a lot of noise. I think he was doing it intentionally when he saw that I was walking around recording my bike. So I had to leave that place, and also it's a different day because it was starting to get late and I was having troubles finding a place to finish up the last bit of recording. So that's that. I can't stay here too long because this is I think private property. So I'm trying to be very careful which way I aim my camera and everything. I don't want to get myself in trouble. So that's it. If you guys enjoy the information, please let me know. Please leave a like on the video and please subscribe because that would be extremely motivating for me. And I hope you all have a good day. I think my next thing that I'm wanting to do is talk more about the for beginners specifically, because there's no point in telling a veteran rider what all the controls do because they already know it's the same on every bike. But maybe talking about shifting and just some tips and stuff, things that we learned in our beginners course for riding. So maybe it would kind of eliminate some of the fears that some people might have that is kind of holding them back from making the move and getting themselves on a motorcycle. So if you guys enjoy it, please let me know. Leave a comment and like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.